Good morning. This is the JP Dinnell podcast, episode 30. I am JP Dinnell, and as always, I have Lucas with me. Work willingly at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than people. Colossians 3:23. I am super thankful for the hard work ethic and hard work mentality my parents instilled into me at a very young age. I have this picture that I love to look at. My parents have it framed, and it's a picture when I was about 6 years old, and I'm outside with a little tool belt on, with a hammer, my Mickey Mouse hat on backwards. I believe it was my Mickey Mouse hat, or maybe I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt in the picture, but I'm outside taking shingles off the side of our house. I'm out there working. I have like I said, a tool belt. I have my hammer. I have a cat's paw, and it was just awesome because I loved being able to work. Physical labor is something that I love. I love to be able to work hard. And that's because the example that my parents set for us, I was getting ready to say me, but all of us, like my brother, my sister, they all work very hard. And it's the example that they set for us because they showed us all the time working hard. I have always loved the feeling after a very long, really hard day of work. Physical labor is something I have always enjoyed because I know I'm putting in the work. I know I'm doing stuff that most people actually don't want to do. Doing the hard work that most people do not want to do gives me satisfaction. Or knowing that they're going to complain about how hard something is, or how hot it is, or how cold it is, or how it's muddy and how it's miserable. I thrive in those environments. It's something that would actually drive me to want to do the work even more. When other people are complaining about it or saying it's going to be too hard or I can't get it done, let's freaking go. Now, I know I've said this many times on this podcast before. You can make excuses or you can make things happen. You cannot do both. That is something that my parents taught us when we were children, because they were always finding ways to make it work, finding solutions to the problems, working hard. And you know what I realized as a young kid is that when you actually put in the work, you tend to get things figured out because people don't want to put in the work. And I'm thankful that my mom and dad and my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents also showed us that. When I first checked into the SEAL teams, I was sent to an off-road Hummer driving and racing school. It was going to be a 4-week long school out in the middle of the desert. And it was immediately 15 to 18-hour work days. And that immediately showed me, hey, this is what we do in the SEAL teams. Big boy rules. We work hard, we party hard, we play hard, but guess what? We work hard. And it was 4 weeks straight of 15 to 18-hour work days. Like I said, it was out in the middle of the desert. It was during the summertime. It was hot out there. But it didn't matter because we were preparing for war. And guess what? That requires a lot of hard work. And that's what we in the SEAL teams do. That's what we as a U.S. military does. We work hard. We also work smart. Everything that I have in my life is a gift from God. I know that. And I also need to constantly remind myself of that. So when I am working through stuff or working on stuff, it helps me maintain this mindset of gratitude so that when I'm working, I remind myself, hey, are you honoring the Lord with your attitude? Are you honoring the Lord with your work ethic? And it's just something that I need to be better at. Another quote that I love, it's a great reminder for us to go out there and just work hard, is from a man that I look up to because of his work ethic. And that is the quote of, "No one cares. Work harder," from Cameron Hayes. I actually have his book that he wrote, which I would like for us to review in the future. And then also I have a few of his shirts and hats. And it's just as a reminder, like, hey, go out there and do the work. So what I wanted us to talk about today is this mindset of working hard. Why is that important? And hey, maybe what you do isn't hard physical labor, and that's fine. There's a lot of very, 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 very important jobs out there that require almost no physical labor. However, you still need to be working hard doing those things because it's a way for us to honor the Lord with what he's given us. And hey, at the end of the day, if you want things, you've got to go out there and work for it. Life is not easy. You have to put in the work. All the things that you admire in life, somebody built those things through hard work. And guess what? You have the ability to do the same thing. Lucas, what's up, brother?
What's going on, man?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing fairly well today.
Fairly well.
Yeah, I've upgraded from okay to fairly well because it seems more likely that we're gonna have a baby soon. So,
Like how soon? Like, are we getting text message updates right now? Are we cutting this episode short?
There is the potential for that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Let's go.
But we might have to. Let's go.
Oh, like right now?
Not at this moment. No.
You're making me nervous.
We'll get a warning beforehand. Of at least, she says, the contractions and stuff are supposed to give us like a half hour or something like that.
Wait, okay, so hold on. You're making me really uncomfortable right now. She's having contractions right now.
Not like real contractions, like Braxton Hicks contractions. But she's been having them for the last couple of days. She said if anything we'll get that message. I told her she's got to wait until we're done with the episode.
You did not.
I did. I told her.
I will finish the episode right now. And with that, it's been the JP Dinnell podcast, episode 030. Hey. Okay.
No, yeah. We're good. We're in the clear right now, but we are getting closer to baby time, which is exciting for us, especially because this has been a totally different experience than the last one.
Yeah.
And talking about the hard work stuff, this verse is one that my mom brought up to us all the time whenever we were growing up. Oh yeah.
Same.
Yep.
Oh, big shock. I mean,
yeah, right. But they like doing yard work, Colossians 3:23, doing schoolwork, whether practicing our musical instruments, like all of those things. This was a big deal, and I've got to say, like, anything that is related to work right now makes me immediately think of my wife, who is like, today is due date of the baby,
and she's working hard.
Yep, taking care of the kiddo, chasing him around the house right now. And on top of that, doing all the stuff that she typically does at the church. She was talking to me today. She's like, hey, do I need to do, she had like her list of things. I was like, we got all that stuff taken care of. Like, you're good. You focus on getting the baby out right now.
Our wives are gangsters.
They're
like, we've talked about this. Like, our wife, you're just, it's just sometimes I'm like, how did we manage to get the wives that we got?
I think they have, like, was Amanda under 25 when you married her?
No.
No? Okay, no. So Kirsten was, and that's my excuse for Kirsten, is her brain was not fully developed. Like, the brain isn't fully developed until it's 25, so I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
that was my anniversary post, was literally that.
That's amazing.
If she had a fully developed brain, there's no way that this would have happened.
Dude.
So
it's crazy. As we're talking about working hard, the amount of messages that we get from people just sharing like what they're doing, and we have a listener, a friend of mine, her and her husband and her kids. She's actually been to a muster. Her name is Stephanie Wagner. She listens, and she sent me a message. Actually, she tagged us in a post on her story about how she appreciates that she can listen to these episodes with her kids.
Yeah.
And her son Noah and her daughter McKenna, we appreciate you guys listening. We appreciate also, I know you guys are warrior kids. Get out there on the path, working hard. Stephanie, her and her husband, they had a gym, a CrossFit gym, which was legit, like a legit gym down in Florida. And for whatever reason, that season of their life passed, and she made the hard decision to shut down the gym.
Oh man!
But it was cool. It was like kind of watching it from a distance. Well, figuratively and literally as well, from a distance, of just how she maintained this constant positive attitude. She's like, all right, this is like the next thing that the Lord is showing me. And she was obedient with that. And obviously I'm sure a lot of heartache and tears being shed over that, because she had built this community and about all these things. But then she realized, like, hey, I need to be obedient to the Lord and listen to the Lord and do the next thing, and which she is. And I'm not going to share what that is, because when she does it, we'll talk about it, we'll promote it, but she's being obedient, and she's, guess what, having to work really hard on this next endeavor. And it's really cool. And I respect her husband, because he travels a lot. Guess what? He's out there working hard, like making things happen for his family. And so I love the being able to talk about people that work hard, because it's critical. That's how this nation was built. That's what makes our military great. That's what makes America great, because the majority of Americans are out there working hard. Yeah. The majority. Now, I know there are people that take advantage of the system.
What?
Yeah, shocking. However,
I've never heard of
there's a
these
lot
people.
of hardworking Americans out there. There's a lot of Brazilians that we know here in America working their tails off
Yeah, getting after it, dude.
to earn that citizenship,
Yep.
opening jiu-jitsu gyms and working 2-3 other jobs while they're like instructing and teaching, because just because you're teaching jiu-jitsu doesn't mean that you're going to have all your ends met.
Yeah.
You need to be doing other things throughout the day, giving privates, working another full-time job. That's part of it.
Yeah.
I know, there are people that are full-time jiu-jitsu instructors that also have a regular full-time job because that's what's required. And it's just this understanding of like, okay, you need to be working hard. That's how you honor the Lord. And guess what? That's how you honor your boss. Like, that's a biblical thing. Honor your bosses, honor the people that you work for with your ethics, with your attitude. I don't, that's one of the things that, I loved about the military, especially being in the SEAL teams, is, my leadership set very clear expectations from the get-go. Hey, we work hard. And that's something that most people are like, well, why would you even have to tell somebody? You're in the SEAL teams. Why? Well, I shouldn't have to tell my people that they have to work hard. Actually, you should. As a leader, it's your obligation and your responsibility to set the tone, to set proper expectations. Here's what we're accountable for. Here's our responsibility, and here's our standards. And when I was a new guy in the SEAL teams, those were made very clear. And what I've realized over the years is every time I've taken the time to do that with my team and reiterate that with my team, they continue doing phenomenal things.
Really?
Absolutely. So when I took over as a sales manager, that's one of the very first things I did. I sat down with the owners of the company. I was like, all right, accountability, responsibility, standards. Like, those are things that I knew that I needed to understand from them. So I went and figured that out. And then I sat down and I digested it and I assessed it and evaluated it, okay, for myself. And then guess what? Went and sat down with my team and had that conversation of accountability, responsibility, and standards. And so that we were all on the same page, so that we all had alignment. And when you have alignment with your people, guess what? It allows you as a leader to push them in a professional manner, to push them to work harder. And guess what? When your people are working harder and they're generating more money, more sales, more revenue, and that's how they're paid, guess how that benefits them? In a very positive manner.
Yeah.
And that's just something that we need to be doing as humans, because as we learn to instill this hard work mindset and these hard work ethics into who we are, it makes a huge difference. And again, my parents set the tone. I still to this day, I don't know many people that could keep up with Pat Dinnell on a job site.
No
In his prime,
yeah,
nobody. And even as he got older, and this is not a negative thing, it's not an insult or me, talking bad on my dad, but when you get older, most of the time you just naturally kind of slow down. I mean,
it's happening to me.
There's a thing that's why it's called your prime, right? You peak, and then doesn't mean that all of a sudden he tanked, but even when he was getting in his 40s and 50s working, still would outwork everybody else out there. And that's a great thing. That's a good, that's what would drive him, was to work hard. I know that's what it was driven by is, well, one, he was doing it to honor the Lord. Two, he was doing it because that's what we're all driven by. I love it. I'm the same way. I'm sure you're the same way. You're like, when you're working on somebody and or working on something and somebody else is working in that same area, that same realm, and they make comments about being busy or tired or whatever, do you kind of get a little extra boost?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, I do.
I'm like, oh, you're tired? You don't like doing this? I feel fine.
Yep.
Let's go.
We do all the landscaping ourselves at the church, the guys at the church do. That's one of the things that the men's ministry does. And so we had taken down a couple of trees, and we were...
Next time, call me. I have a chainsaw. Please, that's like my happy place.
Okay.
Running a chainsaw.
Yeah, so we took down two massive trees, and we were running the wood chipper. And it was an absolute blast, and a couple of hours
Did you guys rent it? You guys rent a wood chipper?
Yeah, we rented the wood chipper.
I need to do that for my house.
Yeah, well, when you do, I know a guy. So we're running the wood chipper, and a couple hours in, one of the guys is like, "Hey, I think I'm going to take a break." I'm like, "Why? Why are you taking a break? None of the rest of us are taking a break. It's not time for water." He's like, "Yeah, we can just shut it down for a second to take a break." We're like, "You can go over there and take a break by yourself. None of us are going to go take a break." And he like looks around, and he's like, Well, I guess if we're not taking a break, I'm not going to take a break. And it was just one of those, everybody was just kind of giving him a hard time, but at the same time, nobody else was going to stop, right? Like that is what was going to happen. He was trying to get a group break going on, and it wasn't going to be the case. That's one of the things that I think in particular when it comes to the initiation of the next generation is we have to be out doing things with them and showing them what work ethic looks like. When we took away the, bring your kid to work day, I think we did our culture a pretty big disservice because now, kids don't know what it looks like to like spend a day at work with their parents.
Yeah.
They don't know what their mom and dad do day in and day out in order to help them make ends meet. They don't have any of that stuff. They just know, I come home from school and these are all the things that mom and dad are supposed to give me, instead of, even if it was just that one day a year where they take their kid to work and you're like, oh, you know what? This is what dad has to go through. This is what mom has to go through every day in order to make sure that there's food on the table. And the further we've gotten away from doing those things where we're setting the example, I think the more and more this idea that, working and hard work in particular is a value and a virtue in a lot of homes, that now this is where we see like what that kind of like entitlement thing that everybody's, it's a big buzzword with every younger generation.
Yeah.
Oh, this generation's more entitled than whatever. But I think that's where it comes in, is because we're not showing even our peers, like we talked about in the last Q&A, like outworking your peers and that kind of stuff. Then we're not even showing our peers what it really looks like and what it really means to be hardworking, because we're siloed more than we ever have been.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I mean, the back of your shirt, you got this awesome Jocko Fuel shirt on, right? And the back of your shirt says, hard work, clean fuel, no excuses. No excuses.
Zero excuses.
No excuses. You look at somebody like Rob Jones.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how your legs hurt and they're sore.
Okay, so talk to our audience who doesn't know about Rob Jones.
If you don't know who Rob Jones is, go do 10 burpees right now.
Okay, well.
1, 2. No, just kidding. No, Rob Jones is a phenomenal human. You should look up his episode on the Jocko podcast. Mm-hmm. He was on Jocko's podcast, shared his story. It's absolutely incredible. Rob Jones is a Marine who lost both of his legs in the war. And Rob Jones is a human who has maintained an incredible mindset the whole time. His attitude from the moment he lost his legs until today, when you're listening to this, has been at an all-time high 99% of the time. And how has he been able to do that? It was his choice. Because Rob Jones is a hard worker. Rob Jones knows that it is his choice to put in the work. And it's his choice to maintain a positive attitude. And that's what he does. He takes ownership over his attitude and his work ethic every single day. Rob Jones decided, oh, cool, with 2 missing legs, I'm going to run 31 marathons in 31 back-to-back days in 31 different cities. That's disgusting in the most amazing way ever.
Running, dude.
That's unreal.
That's incredible, man.
And here's the deal, though, with his prosthetic legs, that means that's 31 marathons worth of rubbing and discomfort and pain.
Yikes.
It's not just his muscles being sore. Now, granted, he's missing his legs, so he's not going to feel his soreness of all the muscles, but the rest of his leg that's there, and his hip flexors and his glutes and his lower back and his abs and his whole body is feeling all that soreness, plus the additional soreness that those freaking prosthetics cause.
Yeah. And
it's super painful.
We've got a friend who he lost his right leg just above the knee, and the amount of discomfort he has in there's no like graceful way to put it, in his stump.
Yeah. It's a stump. Yeah.
Yeah. Is
That's what happened to my dad. He's got a stump in his left arm.
Yeah.
It's his stump. Yeah.
Unbelievable how much care he has to take of that area in order to just like walk around daily. Doing 31 marathons. Like, I wonder
in 31 days.
how many
back to back
he went through. Like, how many did he have to
He
have?
talked
like,
about this on Jocko's podcast.
Yeah,
it's
so he's
an incredible episode.
Episode 92 is the first one that he's on. It looks like he's on
Yeah.
3 or 4 of them. But
Yeah.
episode 92 is the first one. He's
It's
on.
an incredible episode, and I can't wait. I hope we get to have Rob Jones on this podcast in the future.
I'll reach out to his people.
I work with him, jerk.
Okay.
Leave my buddy alone.
815 miles. That's how far he ran. 31 days worth of marathons is 815 miles. I don't know that I've run that far in my life. Actually, I don't think I've run that many miles in my life.
I'm sure you have, if you count like walks and jogs.
But those aren't runs.
You've had to run like that many miles.
No. Look, y'all are not regular people. I don't know how else to explain this to you. You guys are not regular people. Like, I ran like a mile a day in off season in football, but that's like 3 months worth of running, and it's a mile 5 days a week for 3 months. That's like
Yeah, I guess that's
50
right.
miles.
Okay, so in Buds, you're running at least 6 miles a day just to get food, right? That's when I went through Buds, a mile there, a mile back.
Yeah.
And then you're running to the other evolution, so let's add in 2-3 miles maybe. So 3 miles, so that you're at 9 miles a day.
Right.
Minimum. Some people say it's like 15-20 miles a day of running.
If I've got to run to the kitchen, I need my emergency inhaler.
So let's say 15 miles. Let's just say 10 miles a day for easy math. So that's 50 miles a week plus your 4 mile timed run plus other conditioning runs. Yeah, I guess that's right. Like we would put in 60 to 100 miles a week all throughout training every week.
That's not regular people stuff.
Really?
Yeah. No, it isn't.
Okay.
And
then on the weekends, I would do my own runs. I would do like runs on my own.
Yeah, because you guys have to do time stuff. You have to stay in shape. Listen, and like
I remember when I used to just
Echelon
go.
Front
I
freaks.
would wake up when I lived at La Mirage in San Diego. We had a trail that went around the apartment complex I lived in, and it was 1.25 miles. And I would run 4 laps. I would literally wake up and that's what I would go do. I would be hungover or not hungover.
Right.
And it would just be like, go run 4 miles because that's just how you would start the day. Just a 5 mile run. I was also much lighter than now.
But still.
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's still like Rob Jones, man. I mean, come on, man. 31 marathons in 31 days.
31 marathons in 31 days. That's what I'm saying. Like there are literally human beings that will not run this amount in their entire lives that he ran in one month. We just won't. And none of us, myself included, have if I were to look at my if the Lord somehow like sent me an email and was like, "Hey, I was listening to the podcast. You've got like
I'm subscribed.
775 miles that you've done, right? You're 40 miles behind Rob Jones' best month." I would be like, never gonna make it. It's just not gonna happen. I've got no desire to run those other 40 miles in the rest of my lifetime. I think that's what and that's why I think that things like what he's doing, the stuff that like you mentioned Cam Hanes at the beginning of the episode, stuff that Cam does, the amount of running that y'all did in the SEALs in Buds and all that stuff, that is incalculable for the average human being. Looking at this total, he ran 815 miles in a month.
That's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, like Trey on Instagram is Trey Pruitt, but Cameron Hayes' son. I'm sorry, not Trey. Truitt.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Trey Pruitt. Truitt. Yeah, that was my TBI brain mixing things up again.
I like it.
It's all scrambled up there. Like, anyways, his minimum that he does every single day. We talked about this on the Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu podcast before, but it's incredible. Like his minimum is he runs 5 miles a day. Like that's the minimum. And he'll do marathons like a week. Each week he at least runs a marathon, and his dad as well. And it's just, unreal. Just that's the work ethic. But, also his HRV score he's in the top 1% of the world, which is incredible.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it's awesome to see people that just have that work ethic, like Truett. He also holds the world record for pull-ups, 8,100 pull-ups in 24 hours.
No, thank you.
81 pull-ups in 24 hours. 8,100 pull-ups in 24 hours. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane.
Steven and I, we did a back workout. This was like 2.5 years ago. And it's like, hey, I just want to get a back workout. I'm like, cool. He's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, pull-ups. He's like, oh, okay, we'll start off with it. I'm like, let's just see how we feel after we do the pull-ups. And it was a 200 pull-up workout where we just cranked out it was just as you got it done. Like, hey, you max out your reps. Other guy maxed out his reps. You rest how long it took you to do that, and then boom, back up there, back up there, back up there. And we just alternated back and forth, and then there's some that you're just like, you're kipping to get 2. And it's like, cool, you got your 2, jump off. Buddy gets his 2 to 3, jump off, rest. All right, shake it out. 5-second rest, 10-second rest, boom, get up there, get another 2 in. And the amount of just that volume of us just doing 200 pull-ups.
That's crazy,
I remember afterwards,
man.
like our hands, and it was just, and we've been working out consistently during this time, and it was just, hey, you want to do anything else? No, I think we're good. It's just like, but you do 200 pull-ups, you're getting the work done, and it's just that mindset of like, hey, let's just go do the hard work. That's why I'm excited. Like this year is just like switching that mindset back on of like just do the hard work, do the hard work. So I just started a new workout like program regiment that I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
That's going to be good.
Quick math here.
Okay.
Right? I'm 38. Okay. If I wanted to reach Rob Jones 1 month total, I would need to have run 21 and a half miles every year of my life up to now, which means at least once a month I would have needed to run 1.8 miles.
Okay.
There is a 0% chance that's happened. It's like not even there's not a chance that's happened. Like I've done some really hard workouts. I've probably gone several miles up like a Stairmaster or something like that in prep for like bodybuilding competitions.
Yeah, because that's
or
that
something
fat
like that.
burning state
Right.
that you're trying to stay in.
But I have not in my lifetime done Rob Jones's 1 month. But when you're looking at like Rob Jones as an example for hard work, okay, so incredible Marine, loses his legs, then he decides to go do this. He runs 31 marathons in 31 days.
Unreal.
Not even the biggest athletic accomplishment that the guy has under his belt.
He also biked across America.
Yeah, and wasn't he like an Olympic rower as well?
Yeah, Paralympics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real. Like my buddy Dan Canasson, I went through Buzz with Dan Canasson. We were in the SEAL teams together. Loses both of his legs in Afghanistan, and is a multiple time Paralympic medalist athlete, like gold, silver, bronze, and yeah, unreal.
Yeah. I ran 815 miles in a month one time, and that's not the most impressive thing that I've done with, with 2 prosthetic legs.
Corey Mize, who works with us? Corey
Yeah.
Mize. She's an incredible member of Echelon Front. Spoke at the muster. It helps with the academy and all of our curriculum development that we do at Echelon Front. I just looked up her social media account, and this year total, she has ran 152 miles.
Okay. So let's put that in perspective. All right. We're a quarter of the way through the year, 152 miles.
Yep.
She's going to do that conceivably 4 times. Still only 608 miles. Still not as many miles as Rob Jones ran in a month.
I know. Which what she's done is still
That's
awesome.
insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like crazy because you're looking at we're at
Yes,
day
it
one.
is.
Well, in her mind, it's not because
In her
we're
mind,
only
it's
at
not.
day 100.
Right.
So her
We're only
average
at day 100.
We're only at day 100 and she's done 150. But her whole thing is doing something every single day, at least a mile, no matter what. It's every single day. It's just putting in that work consistently every single day, no matter what's going on. You're traveling. It doesn't matter. Non-negotiable, 1 mile. A 1 mile walk. Everybody can do that. 1 mile jog. Everybody can do that. 1 mile run. Everybody can do that.
1 mile walk. Everyone can do that. 1 mile run. A lot of people are going to struggle, myself included.
Well,
but if you
let's
start
fix
with
that
enough
this
of
year,
those
then.
1 mile walks,
You want to fix
then
that
you would
this
do it.
year? Together.
Are we going to hold hands?
No. But I'm just saying.
We fix this together.
I'm saying we like put in the work together.
Okay. I would be interested in that. Maybe what we need to do is get Kirsten on the Rob Jones plan to get this baby to come. If she only ran a marathon a day, then maybe the baby would just shake out. So, but all that to be said, like the amount of hard work that they're able to do, and these are things that in the grand scheme of things, like, yes, they make them healthier. Yes, they affect their future because they help them be healthier. But these are precedents that they're setting for all of the areas of their life.
Yes.
Right. And we talked about this a little bit on episode 29, where when we were pushing through the mental barriers and things that we set ourselves, applying them to the different areas of our life is one of the bigger challenges. But when we do that, we can get into this work hard mentality that allows us the ability to achieve beyond what we believe or think is possible in a given setting. So as a person who's done that, right, as a person who hangs out with a lot of people, works with a lot of people that do that exactly, what's the secret for the average person like myself who has not run probably 608 miles?
Bro, I think it's awesome. You legitimately asked this question not knowing what I just looked up. And this is 100% a God thing.
Cool.
Because you just asked that question, and this is what I was getting ready to read next.
Come on.
My buddy Will from First Form, and you should definitely be following him. It's Will, Grumke. All right? He just put this post out. To be successful at anything, you don't have to be special. You simply have to be what most people are not: consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. And we must do that over time. Or at least that is 100% true for me. And going from minimum wage and lowest man on the company to the executive team. From living at home, sleeping at work, or without heat to save money to a custom built home. From fat to fit, which, by the way, he is a physical phenom. Fit is like an understatement. From not being able to run a 5K without stopping to running a 100-mile run just because. A sub 3-hour marathon and a formidable opponent to compete against. Formidable opponent is an understatement as well. There's this new competition thing. I'll find that as we're done reading this, I scrolled through, I'll find it, that he did, that Lance Armstrong is talking about training to compete in, and Will just showed up and went to one of those competitions and took second, by the way.
Not so bad.
Yeah. And while I don't know how, back to his post, and while I don't know how you started following me on here, my hope is that it helps you be successful too and build the life of your dreams. Because while I still have a lot to learn and still working to be more successful and build my life in many ways, I know what has helped me in the past and can share the current process. That's why I post. That's why I share. That's why I have not deleted my original post from years ago in an effort to show you what's possible, what we can build, and what we can achieve. And shoot, the truth is, you could do even more. But I know from experience, you can be successful. We just have to be consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. I mean, it's just awesome. And so as you look at his post and then you scroll through his second picture, he woke up one morning and was like, I'm just going to run 100 miles just because he wanted to see if he could do it. And he runs 100 miles. And guess what his time was?
I don't know.
19 hours and 45 minutes and 53 seconds.
Good grief.
19 hours, 45 minutes, and 53 seconds. Maintaining an 11 minute and 51 second mile pace for 100 miles. And then it shows a picture of his house. And when he first started working there, being a little chubby bunny. A picture of him and Aaron, who is also now on the executive team. A picture of him and Andy Frisella and Sal Frisella. A picture of their team doing awesome stuff. Them raising money for different charity. They helped raise over $107,000 for a local charity.
Good grief.
Him and his beautiful fiance getting ready to get married. And he's just an amazing human.
So my you have TBI brain. My brain is filled with nothing but invasive thoughts. Okay. If we're gonna, like classify how our brains operate.
Okay.
That's it. Mine is just the only thing that's happening inside my brain is there is one guy who is trying to just gather up all the intrusive thoughts and just try to keep them wrangled all the time, right? And I look up his Instagram, and so here he is.
I've sent a lot
athlete.
of his posts to you and Mike Mitchell.
The first picture of him, my thought is, why is this dude wearing a midriff? It's his ruck that he's got on because he's got the weights on the front of it. So if you look at it and you're like, hey, why is JP sending us this dude who wears belly shirts? That's not it. This is him running with weights on. Yeah, this is an incredible.
Oh yeah, he ran a dang it, what was it?
I don't know. He probably ran a marathon.
No,
with
he
an
ran
extra
a
100
5 he
pounds
ran a
on him.
5 he ran a 5K. Hold on.
Only a 5K.
Where was it? I know the post because I shared it with a few people.
I'm gonna title this episode "JP Fat Shames Lucas."
He also decided to row on the ski erg a marathon.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, he did it.
You know what? That's the kind of thing that I would do. I would no, not the ski erg. I would do like the row thing with a and take pictures of that with me with a weighted vest on because it would absolutely zero challenge because I would still be sitting.
You think it's zero challenge? Rowing with a weight vest?
No, I don't think it's zero challenge.
You just said.
Allow me to create my fantasy here
I'm
over
just
on
saying.
this side of the table. No, I don't think it's zero challenge, and no, I would not like to do it. And no, I don't think it's something we need to try
5K
this
with
year.
50. Dude, bro, it's like he just got bored in the middle of his workday. He's wearing a polo and his shorts at work. 5K with 50 pounds in 21 minutes and 49 seconds.
That's crazy.
I couldn't run a 5K in that time right now.
I couldn't run a 5K, period. End of sentence.
Yes, you could. Bro, Cameron Hayes' son invited me down to Austin, Texas the first weekend in May because his dad is doing a 10K trail run on Sunday. And I'm like, I don't know if I could make it from the muster. We had the muster that weekend, right? And we're done on Saturday. And I was like, I might be. But then I'm also, but here's what I'm also thinking. Me running a 10K trail run with freaking Cameron Hayes and his son being there. I would be the slowest attendee. It would be embarrassing.
No, there's no way you'd be the slowest. There's not.
Unless somebody
like me showed up that was like, hey, maybe I'm going to get an opportunity to meet
it's still, bro,
Cam Haynes.
But here's the deal. I get this message from his son. He invited me there. And he doesn't mean in a derogatory manner at all.
Sure.
At all. But what he said, I'm going to try to pull it up. But
you talking about a trail run gives me shin splints.
I love trail runs. I would do a trail run and I still might see if I can make this happen. But honestly, it was motivation for me to because I've been training and dialing my diet and on this program. This was actually motivation for me to start running again.
Okay.
Because he said, and he didn't mean it in a bad way. He goes, I'm not sure if you run or not.
Oh my gosh.
But You don't have to run that fast to participate. And I was laughing so, bro. I was in tears laughing.
You freaking
I was
legend.
in tears laughing, reading that to Amanda, and she's like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, "Well, because one, like he knows that I'm a SEAL, so he knows that because he's like, hey, thank you for what you've done and everything you've done. So he knows that I'm SEAL. But if you look at any of my recent posts or videos or anything on social media, you know that I'm bigger than I should be, and I need to like get back in shape. And when you look at me, you're like, nobody is going, that's the physique of an endurance runner.
Okay.
Nobody, right?
Okay.
And so I didn't take it in a negative manner at all, but it was also a just little gut check reminder of like, hey, if somebody invites you to go do a 5K or 10K trail run, I should be able to just go do that and not even think about it.
This is the kind of stuff that jerk Cody Gandy says that this is why he says he does CrossFit. So if somebody asks him to do that, he can just go do it. Well,
that's Will's motivation as well, is just to be able to show up and do anything at any time, which he showed up to this new, it's like a big competition, fitness competition. It's like CrossFit, but they have all these set things that you do and everything is in a weight vest. Everything that you do. And I'm telling you, he showed up without training specifically for it and placed second.
My body type is show up to wherever I am to give crisp high fives.
Okay.
That
I feel like I'm always
accomplishing that goal.
Going back to the...
But I will work super hard at high five. I'll give you the best high five. It's worth about 50. My high fives are worth like 15.
Well, okay. I mean, it's a high 15.
Yep.
But what's cool about like I know you're like joking, making fun of yourself like I am as well. But if you look at other aspects of our life, we put in the work.
Yeah.
As a pastor, the amount of work and prep that you put in.
No doubt.
All these podcasts that you run and edit and host and facilitate, and you got your team editing, you know what I mean? Like you've got a team, you put in the work. You put in a lot of work. I would feel like most people would think that I put in the work as well. And it's just one of those things where I'm driven to work hard, but also I want to be driven to be working smart. And that's why I have to shift that strategic mindset more into what I'm doing. It's keep working hard, have that same work ethic, but towards bigger strategic things.
Yeah.
And I'm excited this year for also where it's going to be with the health and, like with what Leif and I are doing with Bruiser Arms, shifting, energy towards building up Bruiser Arms, building out training courses and packages to offer our customers. Like it's awesome, man.
Yeah. So. And you mentioned the stuff about your dad and that, that you hit your peak. And even when he was coming down from that peak, that he was still out working everybody, that there is something to be said, like hard work changes over time.
Yeah.
And some of it has to do with our ability, but the other thing, it has to do with our wherewithal, right? That like, I'm working the smarter, not harder, because I have more experience. I have a better idea about how to do things. But also there are things now, like in all seriousness, in my workouts that I'm doing that I've never done before, like bands. Yeah. Using TheraBands to begin my workout to make sure that I'm taking care of my shoulders and those kinds of things that I wouldn't have done.
It's hard work and smart work.
Yeah, that I wouldn't have done at 30.
Yeah.
That now at 38 that I'm, stuff's popping and creaking every time I move. And it's like, if I'm not taking care of this stuff, then I'm not going to be able to work hard.
Yeah.
How much do you think and I think that this happens for people who kind of fall into that, like the hustler category, that like we're always doing something that, a friend of mine asked me, he's like, what do you do to wind down? I was like, I work. That's what I do. Yeah. If I want to wind down, then I'm going to go mow the yard or I'm going to go build something.
Yeah.
Or, right. Like I wind down, I rest by doing something, right? That there's a lot of,
does reading help you wind down?
Sometimes
depends on what you're reading. Cause sometimes I'll read and all of a sudden I'll like, like,
Yep.
it fires me up.
Yep.
So I have to be careful what I read.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people are like, oh, if I read this, I go to sleep. Rarely. Like if I read the Chronicles of Narnia or like some kind of fiction fantasy stuff, like sometimes those books can lull me a little bit. But outside of that, no. Because right now I'm in the middle of Chuck Tatum's Red Blood, Black Sand about John Basilone. No, I'm not. I can't read that at night.
I was going to say our fiction books are slightly different because the ones I have like bring me back to war and make me want to go to war.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm like, yes, we're hunting the enemy again.
we're making it happen. But
sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're all good. So the question I'm getting at is when does the mindset shift in hard work to all right, so at 25, I can just hop in and do something. At 35, I'm not more limited in it. I have to be smarter about taking care of myself.
Yeah.
I feel like there's two sides or that people fall into one of two categories. They'll fall into the category of the Toby Keith, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we need you to work today, or can you help us out with this? Or hey, let's go lift. And then they go just balls to the wall for a day and then cripple themselves for a week and then get upset because they can't do what they used to be able to do. And then there's the other that realizes that and they're like, hey, you know what? Yeah, but it's going to take me, I'll do this workout with you, but I'm going to either need to get there 15 minutes early, right? Or you guys are going to just need to wait 15 minutes so that I can get warmed up and ready to go. Mm-hmm. How do we deal with the ego hit that hard work changes over time and that we may have to plan better in order to work harder as we get older?
Well, I think it just comes down from just being self-aware. And how do you deal with the ego hit? Well, either you recognize it and adjust, or you listen to a podcast like this that's telling you, hey, things are going to shift and change. You have to be willing to subordinate your ego and be smart. Or, hearing guys like my dad who says, he lost his arm because, it was life over limb. Yeah. And because he had so many surgeries. And I know that if you were to sit down and talk with my dad would tell you right now, I wish I would have done it different. There's no doubt in my mind that he would have wanted, or he would wish that he would have just taken an extra 6 months of recovery time on a few of those surgeries at the very beginning. Yeah. But he felt like he had to get back into the work faster than he did, and which caused problems. And, so I think you just being aware and being humble to learn from the people around you. Again, that's an assumption. I'm not, putting words in my father's mouth, but I know, like he's told me, like, man, I wish this would have been different. I wish I could have done things differently. You lost your arm, like, because you have worked so hard and, rushed back into work when, he felt like it was the only option because he had to provide. And, but now looking back, like, I know that if my dad was to sit back and look at things logically from a logical standpoint and say, well, yeah, I wasn't able to go back out to a job site or out working physical labor, but man, I probably could have gotten another job, like just a job that he didn't want, but it could, and I know he could have done that, and he's smart enough to recognize that as well, and he's humble enough to recognize that and been like, yeah, I could have done things differently. I have other buddies, same thing, like rushed back from injuries, and it cost them. It cost them limbs as well, and cost them, stuff. And so we have to be willing to do honest self-assessments and look at the situation and make logical decisions, not emotional decisions. But then we also have to be willing to listen to the people around us, and listening, like I said, a podcast like this or Jocko's podcast, or, there's a lot of other really good podcasts out there that are providing lessons learned from other people. Listen and learn from the people around you. And it's just, it's an understanding like, hey, you can do things smarter. Yeah. And why would you not want to? And, life is going to humble you. Whether you stay humble or not, that's up to you. So when life has humbled you, you can do one of two things: stay humble or let your ego keep lying to you and believe in those lies, and then jump back in and do things the way you were doing it again. And then things compound and they get worse and then worse and worse. And, that's not a negative thing towards any of our listeners, but it's a choice. And that's what we have to think about is what choice are you going to make?
When you think about talking about hard work, doing everything as though we're for the Lord and instead of people, when you consider the kind of turn of phrase that's on this, is that when we tell people to, hey, you know what, give it your best shot, do the best you can or whatever, right? Do you think we're actually telling them to do the best they can? Or do you feel like that idiom in particular within the sort of the cultural zeitgeist now means something more akin to like, give it a try, and if you fail, that's okay, versus actually saying, hey, do the best you can?
No, I think people need to do the actual best that they can.
Yeah, I would agree, right?
Yeah.
But I guess my question is more, do you think
I heard you wrong, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Do you think that the way that we say that is less about doing the best you can and more about being okay with failure?
Well, I mean, that's going to be how people interpret it, because that's up to the end. That's like one of those things where we're like, hey, that's on the end user of how they take it.
100%.
Now, we need to make sure that we're communicating to people clear, but at the end of the day, I know you're going to fail, and that's okay. What are you going to do with that failure? What are you going to do with it? You can learn from it, or you can continue doing the same thing. Well, when you succeed, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to learn from it and replicate it and duplicate it, or are you going to get complacent and allow the disease of victory to creep in? So this is an on you type of thing. This is 100% on our listeners right now, just like it's on you and it's on me. It is. I have a choice. Today, I slept in. My wife let me sleep in because she knew that I needed the rest. And this week has been a unique week.
It's been crazy.
It's been crazy. And most of the stuff that's been going on. Mm-hmm. I needed the sleep. My body needed the sleep. Like my training readiness yesterday, my watch was telling me for me to go work out, my training readiness was 1 out of 100. Garmin has some pretty legit technology for
pretty low readiness.
Yes. Literally, my watch was like, do not work out. You need a couple days of rest. So this morning, I knew that I needed to sleep, so I didn't set an alarm.
Yeah.
And my wife knew that as well. And so I slept in. I got the rest that I needed. But I've been playing catch up. And I was pissed off earlier that I slept in. Because I'm just like, I'm behind. I need to get all this other stuff done. But then I also recognized that if I would have not gotten that extra rest, my body would be wrecked. And if my body's wrecked, do you think I'm efficient and effective with my mental clarity at the level that it needs to be to get the work done?
Oh, not a chance.
So I had to subordinate my ego and say, shut up. It's okay. Now, just let's be smart. Be smart with the time that you have, and let's be efficient and effective. So that's kind of where I'm at right now personally today.
Yeah. And
also, here's the thing. It's awesome. My wife and I were like talking, and she's like, I just feel like we can't get caught up. And I'm like, because we can't. I was like, babe, we can't. There's no way we can get caught up on everything that we feel that we have to get done. I said, tonight, let's sit down and figure out what needs to be done. What can we do? What can we ask for your parents to help? What can we ask for other people to help us out? And what stuff do we just need to get off the list?
Yeah.
And so we were talking about that. And then I was thinking about all those things, and I was just like, all right, that's what we're going to do tonight. That's why prioritize and execute is a very real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I legitimately use the planner that we have at Echelon Front. Now, next, later, right? Like, what can I do right now? What's going to be next? What's going to be later? And just being honest with those things, because the feeling that my wife had is a very real feeling. And my heart breaks that my wife feels that way. Well, literally, my heart breaks for her because I don't want her feeling like that way. And also, I know she carries that burden. And I'm like, hey, this is not on you, babe. We're still dealing with a lot of stuff from our house because
there's still a lot going on.
First world problems,
yeah.
But frustrating. So these are things that are going to happen. It's just how you frame your mindset and how you receive it. It's on you. You can make excuses or you can make things happen.
Can't do both.
You cannot do both.
Then I think the last thing that I would ask as far as it relates to this is how much does intentionality play into this? Because I think it's one thing when we think about like working out with a full effort that we know what that's like. And we see plans like what Justin has made for you before. We're like, all right, so I'm going to do my workout. My daily workout is going to be with like 80%. And so you have to know what your max is in order that you can work at 80% for a certain number of reps or anything like that. So we've got those metrics for working out. A lot of us have those metrics when it comes to our businesses, where we can see, hey, you know what? I gave max effort this month because I hit all my sales goals. I gave max effort this month because, I was able to achieve, XYZ in my PT that I wasn't able to before for, my job as a law enforcement officer or whatever. It's hard to look at something and say, like, relationally, and say, hey, you know what? I know that I gave max effort in my relationship with my spouse. I know that I gave max effort whenever I was, dealing with this person a friend of mine who had a problem. Like, how much does intentionality play into really doing everything as though we're doing it for the Lord?
I think it is absolutely critical for us to be able to do those things that you're talking about. You have to be intentional with, the task at hand. You have to be intentional. So if I'm being intentional, that means that I'm thinking, that I'm assessing, that I'm understanding the difference between desire and capabilities. I might have the desire to go out and do all these things. Am I capable of doing these things? And so we have to be very, very intentional with the conversations that we have. We have to be very intentional with the assessments that we do of ourselves. We have to be intentional with the assessments of our team and our family. We have to be intentional about the assessments of our actual, like funds and like materials and like the things that are needed to actually go do the work. Do you have those available to you? The resources. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Resources. There we are. I found it finally. I was like, literally, like as I'm saying all those different words, I was literally in my brain looking at a file cabinet trying to find a word.
Yeah.
There's resources. So intentional with the resources.
Right.
Meaning that I have to be honest with myself. Do I have the resources to go do what I want to do? Yes or no? And if I don't, then what am I doing? Why am I wasting my time?
Yeah. Which is
go get the resources.
Yeah,
yes, and time is the most valuable resource that we have.
Yeah.
Because you can't do anything with time. You can't stop it. You can't. You guys have heard me with my time rant before, and it's still the same. Time is the most valuable asset that we have, and we cannot waste it. And so I have to be honest with that. And it's an assessment of my abilities. Desire and capabilities are two different things. I've said that dozens of times on this podcast. Desire and capabilities are two different things. What are your abilities? What are the resources that you have? And then be intentional with using those to the max. Use those to the max. So I think that's a good thing to kind of just stop on, because I want people to think about that.
Yeah.
Be intentional. Think, assess, and most importantly, get to work. Put in the work. So with that, I just want to thank all of you guys that follow us. It's incredible to see this podcast growing, the community on YouTube. For those of you that listen on YouTube, thank you so much for the support that provides us. If you want to follow us on social media, I am at JP Dinnell. Lucas is at Lucas Pinckard, at Lucaspinckard. And the Dinnell is 2 N's and 2 L's. It's a little thing that Seth taught Jocko to remember how to spell my last name correctly. Also, make sure you're following us at Echelon Front, echelonfront.com. I would love to see you guys at a future event. We have the battlefields, we have the council, we have the individual field training exercises. We have Extreme Ownership Academy, which is our online leadership training platform that we created and built, and the community there is absolutely incredible. If you want, you can also check out Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu _USA. It's a ministry that I'm a part of with Isaac, Stephen, and Josh. We also have a podcast called the Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu Podcast. We do events at different gyms. It's a free seminar. Someone shares their testimony, and then we have open mat. It's always a good time. Next one is coming up on May 18th at 555 Jiu-Jitsu in Highlands Village. I'm also a partner of the Texas beef company called Little Cattle Co.
Get that beef.
Yeah, dog. Me and my best friend, Stephen Little, officially partnered up in 2023. He started the company in 2017. And our website is littlecattle.co, just like our name, but as a website, littlecattle.co. We deliver beef anywhere in the lower 48 states. We can also send gifts to your clients, to your customers, to your coworkers, to your boss, to a peer that you're trying to build a better working relationship with. You can send them some beef, some Texas beef that has no steroids, no antibiotics in it. It's grass-fed, grain-finished. It's absolutely incredible. We also have a ground beef subscription plan, which is growing. I mean, it's crazy.
It's awesome.
Pace that is growing. Also,
I'm on that plan.
Yes.
I'm on the 20 pounds a month.
Let's go, man.
So good.
We're about to increase it and offer people up to 30 pounds monthly, I believe, which we've already had. Literally, Steven and I talked about that, a few weeks ago, and we've had multiple people go, if you do 30, I'll do 30. And we're like, oh, cool. Let's do it.
If they were clever, they would just get another email address.
They could. Also a partner with Josh Strasburger, another one of my best friends, for a printing company called On the Path Printing. We're on Instagram. We're at On the Path Printing. And we've talked about it earlier, the company that Jocko, Leif, and I have started called Bruiser Arms. You want to follow us on Instagram, it's at Bruiser Arms. Leif and I are going to be putting out some more content very soon on that, and some information on some upcoming training classes and gear and products that we will be offering. And as always, I want to thank Origin and Jocko Fuel for all the support that they have given me over the years. It's absolutely incredible what Origin and Jocko Fuel are doing. This was started by Pete and Amanda Roberts in the woods of Maine, cut down the trees on their property to build a factory, to bring manufacturing back to America. And that's what they've done. 100% of the stuff that they sell at Origin is 100% American made. And in order for that to happen, guess what? That took a lot of hard work. So if you want to support an American company that supports American workers and the American economy, go to originusa.com. Go to jockofuel.com. Check out the supplements, the energy drinks, the jiu-jitsu gis and rash guards, and the jeans and the boots and the pants, all the gear that they have there. We appreciate everything that they do, and we want to support them because of all the hard work that they have put in over the years to make what everybody said was not possible. They, meaning Pete and Amanda Roberts, they made it possible. So I hope this episode has been a reminder for each of us to go out there and do the hard work that's needed, and also to never settle. This has been the JP Dinnell Podcast, episode 30.